Good evening, everyone. I'm Lucinda Collier, president of the North Rose-Wolcott Central School Board of Education. I will call the meeting to order. Will you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Our first order of business is approval of the agenda. May I have a motion, please? John and Tina. I'd like to add one item under number 3, under reports and correspondence. Linda Egner will report on Fork County. So with that, is there any discussion? Then all in favor of approving tonight's agenda? Thank you. Agenda is approved. All right, we have 2 presentations tonight. Michael, I'll turn it over to you. And Michael is our superintendent, Michael Pullen.
So thank you, Mrs. Collier. I'm very pleased to introduce Megan Pagliatti, our Assistant Superintendent for Instruction tonight. She's going to give the Board of Education and our community an update on our mid-year progress with respect to our strategic action plan. I think what the board and the community are going to find is we're doing some pretty darn good things over here at North Rose-Wolcott. There are definitely areas that we need to continue to focus and fine tune when it comes to instruction. But as you've heard me say many times, I think we're heading in the right direction, and I'm pleased to turn it over to Megan and let her share with you tonight where we're standing as a district. Megan?
Thank you. Thank you for the time to present tonight. I'm excited to let you know all the things we've been doing to contribute to reaching our goals on the strategic action plan. So I just wanted to start with an overview of where we started after all of our work last year, hearing from the community, the students, teachers, parents, of what was important to them to have in our strategic action plan. Through that work, we came up with the new mission and vision, the Cougar Values, and then our community promises. And really everything that we do is related to this. If we're providing a professional development, we're making sure it aligns with one of the promises. Along with when teaching students the Cougar Values, we're relating back to these things to making sure everything is connected. The exciting piece of the Cougar Values is before this year, we really had a different Cougar traits that we were instilling in our students. But these values were ones that came out over and over when we heard from the community of what they wanted North Rose-Wolcott students to leave with and have these instilled in them. So as a group, we came up with these, and it's really exciting to see when I go into classrooms, teachers are using these words and this language to talk to their students about what we want to see in them and how we want them to act both at school and out in the community when they leave school. So this is going to kind of be a recurring looking slide. This shows an overview of all the things that we've been doing for each community promise, and it's a lot. So what I'm going to do is give you a minute to look at each one, and then I'm going to focus on just a couple areas from each community promise to hone in on that are really new to this year. So some of these things are things that we've carried over that the community, school community felt like were important things that we wanted to maintain within the district. Other things have been new things that we've added that we're really proud of. So for our first area, partnerships, the first thing I really want to focus on is our Veterans Day assemblies. This was the first year that we've had them in each building. In the past, it's really just been the elementary school that celebrated. And this year, we really provided a developmentally appropriate assembly, depending on the grade level. And it was really exciting to see students connect with teachers and board members who have served, to see the path that they've taken to get to where they are today, and how there's many different ways to get to where we are today. And one of those being serving So that was a really nice day to celebrate across the district. Another area I wanted to highlight is our Rotary partnership. So Rotary has for years been providing thesauruses and dictionaries to our students, and our students love this. It's very exciting. They come in, and last year, because of COVID, they had to do a video to show the kids how to use them and go through them. Typically, it's done in person. In addition to that, we are a member of Rotary. We attend the meetings. And this year, there's a couple of very special things that we're doing with Rotary. They wrote a grant to create little libraries to be placed out in the community so that students can have access to books in multiple places within the community. And they've teamed with our district where our technology teachers are having students design the little libraries and build the little libraries. And our art students are going to be decorating them. So it's a really nice cooperative effort to get something out there in the community. And we're looking on partnering in future projects with them as well. And then a third way that's a little bit different way of using our Rotary partnership, excuse me, is when we were going to be going out with the capital improvement project presentation, we went to Rotary first because there's such a diverse group of people in Rotary. We know that they'll give us some really nice perspective and feedback on what we're taking out to the community. So they were the first ones that we went to get some feedback to make sure we were kind of hitting all the points and able to answer questions from different perspectives. And it was a really nice way to grow our partnership with them in that way. And they gave us really great, honest feedback. The last area I want to focus on in this part is Parent Square. So we switched to Parent Square this year. It's been a really nice way to be able to communicate as a district to the whole community, all the way down to a teacher to just one parent, and every different mixture in between. Athletic teams get this. We can send this to a whole building of parents. And my favorite part about that is that parents can choose the language that they receive the messages. So we're not having to translate everything before we send it out. It can be much quicker. It's done with a press of a button with them just deciding how they want to receive it, which has been really nice. And a cool part on the administrative side of this is that I get a report every week that tells me who the top posters are in the district. And I just send an email out to them and thank them for communicating with our community so well each week. So it's kind of fun to see that come through. So our next community promise is equity, and I'll give you a minute to look at the pieces that we've implemented there. So one area I want to focus on here is professional development. So Mr. Pullen has brought in a couple different professional development leaders for us regarding discipline to make sure that we're following the right processes when we have to discipline students, and then also focusing on students with disabilities and how to support students using FBAs, functional behavioral assessments, and behavior improvement plans. So it's really kind of the full process of supporting students. And when we get to the point that we do have to discipline, making sure we're following those right processes to maintain what the students' rights are as well. Another piece is that we have been a part of a social emotional network team this year through BOCES, where our district and other districts get together, and we've been learning about the social emotional framework, which is a really great piece that I honestly did not know a lot about, and I was excited to learn about. And our team is excited to pass this on to the greater population of our teachers and staff. And so that's something we're going to be taking what we learned and in the future turnkeying that to our staff so we can really think about where students are social emotionally on a spectrum and where we can move them to the next stage without trying to jump over a bunch of developmental steps that would need to come in between. In addition to that, for our staff, we've been doing For You Fridays, which is one Friday a month when staff can just take some time for themselves to do something fun with their colleagues. There's different choices of what they can do. We've offered healthy snacks. Here they're painting bottles. They've done different games in the gym. They've done just reading quietly in the library, walking. all sorts of Tai Chi, so all sorts of different things that people are interested in, or they don't have to do it, it's optional. But they do get a little ribbon if they participate, and we have people displaying them proudly on their door to show that they've been doing something for themselves, which is really the whole goal of why we created the For You Fridays. All right. There's a lot of bubbles on this one, so I'll wait a minute for you to look at those. So we talked at the beginning of the year for our new teachers. We did have Erica Ebert come in and work with them to really learn about work-life balance. We wanted to start the year where our new teachers understood how to balance things a little bit for themselves coming into a new district and a new position for some of them. And throughout the year, we've continued to work with Erica to provide social emotional learning for our staff to implement with their students. So she's worked on mindfulness and how that can be used in the classroom. And she's also worked on how to approach situations with compassion, knowing that people have gone through a lot and we sometimes need to make sure that we're setting things aside and assuming best intentions when interacting with other people. So she's been really helpful for our staff who want to take part in that. In addition to that, we have been using Panorama to provide social emotional surveys for our 3rd through 12th graders. This is information that shows us how they're doing, and then we're able to use that information to either provide building-wide supports for students if we see there's an area that a lot of students are struggling in, all the way down to more individualized or group supports for students if there's an area that they're struggling in. And then finally, Sweethearts and Heroes, we had them here in the fall, you may remember. We're excited, we're going to be having them come back on March 18th for our Professional Development Day. They're going to be doing a keynote speech for our teachers and staff, and then throughout the day, they're going to be working with teachers. So everybody will get to spend some time with them. And then in addition to that, the week after that, they will be spending one day in each building to work with our students and staff a little bit more on just spreading the message of hope and overcoming adversity, and just really bringing a really positive feeling to March, which can be a very long month. So we're hoping that'll be a nice way to kind of perk everybody up and get everybody on the right track to head towards the end of the year. The next area is academic. So this is the first year that we have instructional coaches in each building. We've seen a huge benefit from this. Our instructional coaches have worked with staff on integrating best practices, giving them feedback on their teaching, in addition to really helping them look at data and adjust their instruction based on that data. So it's really nice because we've had this structure within the elementary school, but this is the first time we've had it at the middle school, and we have a part-time person at the high school right now. We have seen that, of course, the elementary school has been able to go much further with it since it's a more established program, and we're looking forward to seeing it grow as we head into multiple years of having these coaches in the buildings. They are also really great at attending PD and coming back and turnkeying it, so that we don't need to send a lot of teachers out of district when it's hard to get substitutes. We don't really want teachers out of the classroom because their time is so well spent in front of students, but then the information can still come back because they can turnkey that information. Another exciting piece is our Alternative Learning Center expansion. I know we've talked a little bit about this before, but it's really helped so many students to get back on track to graduate in order to get credits that they had been lacking. And I'm excited to let you know that the staff from the ALC is going to be presenting to you at a future board meeting, so you can hear all the great things about what they're doing in there. So looking at some of our academic data, this was one that you saw at the last board meeting when the elementary school presented, and you saw a lot of great growth at the elementary school. Every grade level improved with their ELA and their math. And we have, especially looking at fourth grade, some students who are very close to reaching that 90% goal, which is very exciting. And, you know, even second grade in ELA, even though they aren't as close to 90, if you look at the amount of growth, it's just really staggering. So what we really attribute this to is the teachers' hard work in implementing collaborative classroom with fidelity. This is really the elementary school second year of doing it. Last year, they were learning about it still while doing it. And this year they're really implementing it. And they're also using their data and adjusting instruction, you know, very quickly to meet students' needs. And we're seeing the benefits of that. At the middle school, we aren't seeing as much growth. We're seeing our middle schoolers struggle a bit more than at the elementary school. For collaborative classroom at that level, that's at 5 and 6, and they're really more still in their learning year for it. So they're kind of where the elementary school was last year. So for March 18th, we are giving collaborative classroom training to our 5th and 6th grade teachers so they can continue to work on their practices with that. And another thing that we've noticed is that the data isn't being analyzed quite as in depth at this level. So we're working on systems to make sure that we're looking at the Ames Web scores, we're seeing where the skill deficits are and getting interventions set up to meet those students' skill deficits so that we can see these numbers improve. In the high school, we just wanted to highlight the number of students who have scored at being on merit roll or above for those first couple of quarters. We have some students doing some really nice work at the high school level. And like we said, this paired with the Alternative Learning Center, we're really hitting many more students' needs than we had in the past. And we're really excited to see what those final results will be at the end of this school year. So the last area to focus on is financial. Some of these things are things that you've already heard about in previous presentations. But what I really wanted to focus on for my portion is really the amount of time and thought that's been put into the asset preservation. I think the capital improvement project approval is a huge step in the right direction. It's very exciting to see that we're going to be able to put some money towards getting our buildings just up to par so that they, you know, can continue to be here for our students to learn in. But the amount of attention that's being put into making sure that they are not only aesthetically pleasing from the outside, but are functional for students on the inside has been very important. In addition to making it a place where students and staff are proud to come and work and learn, can say, you know, when kids come to athletic event here, that they're proud that they're coming to this school to do that. So that's been a big focus this year, I would say more than ever since I've been here. Another piece is the grant funding. We're continuing to look at what grants are available to us. Bridget Barr's done a nice job with accessing grant funds and just making sure that we're braiding it with our regular funds, our general funds, because if a grant ends, we don't want a program to go away. We want to be able to continue it if we feel like it's benefiting our students. So that's something we're always looking at. And then just the final area is on March 18th, we're going to be having our secretaries be cross-trained with Romana Lord. And she's really going to be focusing on purchase orders and the WinCap system and budget reports to make sure that if any one person is out, which we've seen a lot with COVID this year, people have been out for an extended time. We don't want anything to stop. We want the district to keep moving. So we want to make sure that we're sharing the knowledge that we have and the skills that we have and cross-training people to keep things moving forward should that happen. And that's all that I have, unless you have any questions.
Board members, questions? Okay, thank you very much, Megan.
Thank you.
You get mid-year report. Thank you. Mr. Pullen, do you want to move on to the next presentation?
Yes, I'd be happy to. I'd like to turn it over to Gary Barno to kind of talk a little bit about, more extensively, actually, about the budget that we're putting together for the 22-23 school year. You know, that his office and Megan's office work hand in hand when it comes down to providing our students with the very best opportunities. But it's imperative that we do it in a cost-effective way. And I think that you've seen throughout his presentations this fall and winter, being very mindful of factors that when we build a budget are not overwhelming to our community. So he was going to highlight a few more areas tonight, and then we can take any questions at the end. So Gary, I'm going to turn it over to you and let you keep rolling with it.
Hey, thank you very much. So Tina, we can go to the next slide. So as Mr. Pullen said, these are some of the budget factors that you saw a list of them in our previous presentation. So I just want to highlight a few of these tonight. And this will be a rather quick presentation, and we'll be sharing more information down the road when actually our next board meeting, the meetings in March, we'll be seeing the meat of the budget. Here we'll be seeing a lot more of the numbers, but here are some of the other budget factors that we've talked about. Just want to share some information with you. Some of this you may have seen already. For instance, on the next slide, we're just showing our history of enrollment over the years. And here we are this year at just over 1,100 students. And that is exactly what we've been seeing across the region and across the state. It's kind of a very slow but seemingly steady decline in our enrollment numbers. So we are very typical of what's going on around us in the county, in the region, and across the state. It's not a precipitous drop in enrollment. It doesn't change a lot in terms of our budget numbers. These numbers are going down very slowly, so we're not seeing a big change from one year to the next in class sizes exactly, or enough to really see much of a decrease in actually teachers and other programs. So I don't think this is a surprise, but I just wanted to share that with you. Okay. Next slide, please. So this is coming right off the New York State data site. This is the most recent expenditures by pupil, something that the board is always interested in, and in comparing ourselves with how we rate with other schools across the state. So we are doing very well in that area. So with our total expenditures by pupil is right around that 21,600, and that tracks pretty closely with the average in the districts in our surrounding, in our county, in the surrounding area. So that's that data always lags about 2 years behind. So that's the most recent. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, I shared with you a little bit of this information at the last meeting. As you recall, we talked a lot about another budget factor, the tax levy and where we were with that. We had quite the conversation, but part of what I shared was the different propositions that the public will be voting on this May. And that includes purchasing buses. So this is where we're at. We have a current fleet of about 33 vehicles. We replace, and we will plan on continuing replacing these buses on a 5-year cycle. Okay, so this year we're purchasing 5 new buses and trading in 6 buses. So we're evaluating the entire fleet size and our needs, and we've determined that we can retire or trade in 6 buses while we're getting 5. Okay, and I want to just highlight that these buses, as in the past, are being purchased out of our bus purchase reserve fund. That is a type of capital fund, so we do get money back on that. And as a result, there is no increase to taxes. So we're able to have a very aggressive replacement plan for our buses. So that's a very positive thing for the district, and we're continuing that plan. Next slide, please. So I just want to update the board on our plans for the capital outlay, or the mini projects that we set aside $100,000 in our budget from year to year. It's a great way to invest in our buildings without going to the public for the very large capital projects. So we are able to do certain projects on a much smaller scale. So for 22-23 school year, we want to embark on some improvements at our high school library. Our plan actually is to do enough improvements to cover 2 years. So our plan right now is to put in $100,000 of work for the 22-23 year and continue that work into the 23-24 year with more renovations and improvements to our library. So a little bit about capital outlay projects. It does require all the same sort of submissions to the New York State Education Facilities Department. So our architects are involved, our construction manager is involved, and it goes through all of those normal requirements that you see in a capital project. The difference is these are smaller projects. We receive aid in the following year, and our building aid ratio for these projects is almost 84%. Currently, it's 83.5. So it's a great return on the investment, and something we should plan on keeping in our budget, that $100,000 allocation for capital outlay projects going forward. So just to remind the board and the public what we're doing currently, and the last couple of years we focused on the elementary school building. So currently this year we're doing a lot of masonry and window work, repairs, and mortar and brick kind of things to keep the elementary school repaired and in good shape. Okay, so that has been focused the last couple of years. Of course, the middle school has received a lot of attention with our last project, and now we're turning these capital outlay projects, looking at doing some more work in the high school. So we're spreading out the capital project work, I think, pretty well. Next slide, please. Okay, I just want to share with you, you'll get more information, of course, on our reserves as we build our budget and use some of these reserves to help balance our budget. But here's a quick snapshot of where we are currently with our reserves. And I just want to kind of draw your attention to the last reserve, capital reserve. It currently has a zero balance, and that's because there was $3 million in that reserve that has already been transferred out of the reserve to help support our current project that the voters approved in December. That's the $11.1 million project. So our goal, as we close out this fiscal year, as we close our books, I'll be making a recommendation to help replenish that reserve. And in fact, that's one of the propositions this year, is to establish a new capital reserve. I believe I did mention in a previous meeting where that is necessary because we've capped our funding for the old reserve. So we just have to establish a new reserve and begin funding for our future capital projects. Next slide. And as always, I end these presentations just to remind ourselves where we are with the budget process. This, I believe, is our fourth budget presentation. As I said earlier, you're going to receive a lot of numbers in different areas of the budget, beginning with the next board meeting in 2 weeks. So that's all I have tonight. Do we have any questions?
Board members, any questions? Okay, I guess we're all set. Thank you, Gary. That's informative, and it's getting us ready for next month when we'll be
Yeah.
receiving specific numbers.
Yeah, I think that'll be
Great.
a little more exciting than what we have tonight, but we'll be getting to the real meat of the budget.
Yeah, okay,
Yep.
good. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Pullen, I believe you wanted to let our administrators and directors go as who are attending the meeting tonight, so you can get on to your personal lives. We hope you have a good evening. So if you want to, you can stay. You don't have to go, but if you want to leave, feel free.
Yeah, they've done a great job this week, Mrs. Collier. So I appreciate you and the Board of Education understanding, allow them to stretch their weekend a little bit earlier this evening. So I've been reminded once or twice that we've had a board meeting during break week this week. And, I think that letting them out at this point in time for the hard work and effort they've put in is great. So thank you for that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Public access to the board. Tina, is there anyone who wants to speak to us tonight?
No, I did not have anyone send me anything.
All right, thank you. We'll move on to the consent agenda. A motion, please, to approve the consent agenda.
Wait a minute.
Oh, did I forget something? I forgot reports and correspondence.
You forgot the
That's why you're all going like this to me. Thank you. Yes, all right, I'm sorry. Back up, reports and correspondence. John, you have a report from the Safety Committee?
Yeah, the Safety Committee met on the 15th of February, and the focus was cybersecurity. And Lisa Brower, who's our guru on computers of a district, she went over how the district can be at jeopardy and risk for data breaches, from secure to unsecure, from denial of services. The servers get overloaded on purpose and shut down. Spoofing, emails from different addresses, malware, software to damage computers, or the bad people put bad stuff in. Unpatched, it means undated, outdated software, and removable media like flash drives. They have to always be careful that flash drive put in is okay and not has viruses. What they do for that, what she does for that, she leads the task force basically for training our staff, for monitoring our software and standardize the patches. Also, BOCES offers a lot of services in the computer area, which we take advantage of. But these schools have been hit by hackers in the past, and they've been held up for, I think there's one, Monroe County had several of them. But our BOCES seems to have a pretty good firewall, and knock on wood someplace, but they are alert to it. They're trained to do it, and they do train our staff. It was a very enlightening kind of meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, John. And Linda, we've added you to the agenda.
Yep.
Linda Egner.
Yep, right after our last board meeting that Saturday, the Fork County Legislative Committee met, and we were given some information about an upcoming conference that I wanted to let board members know about tonight. The New York State School Board Association, the rural schools section of that, the executive director, Dave Little, has arranged to have a conference at the Wayne Finger Lakes BOCES Center in Newark on March 18th. And it's going to cover student health, safety and also some work about their future. There will be morning sessions that are going to address student mental health and the latest information about school violence and shootings. And in the afternoon, there will be sessions that cover school cyber attacks, which John was just talking about, and ransomware. But they're also going to be including opportunities about student employment after their graduation too. So it's going to begin at 10 in the morning and end at 3, and lunch is going to be provided. There are conferences for the rural schools that are held throughout the year in Cooperstown, Lake Placid, and Long Island, but this is the first one that's been in our area. So good for Wayne County Finger Lakes. I would imagine that we would be able to register if you're interested through Tina and getting in touch with Sue Wyatt at Fort County. I did note that it's the same day as the professional development for people in our district. It's that Friday, March 18th. So I wanted to make folks know so you can think about it, because our next meeting is almost on the 18th of March. So that's why I wanted you to know.
Right. There is a cost, so you do have to go through Tina if you want to go. Let her know and she'll register you. Okay,
I don't know if I mentioned it, but lunch is provided.
yes.
And they do good lunches there.
Yes, they do. It's at the BOCES Conference Center, right?
Right,
Yeah.
in Newark.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Linda. All right. Now we go to the consent agenda. You know, when you were all doing like this, I thought you were all so anxious to approve, to make the motion for the consent agenda. So, so a motion please to approve the consent agenda. Paul and Linda, is there any discussion or questions? The consent agenda goes through page 4 at the top. All right, hearing no questions or discussion items, all in favor of approving the consent agenda? Motion is carried. Policies, a motion please to approve the presented policies. Linda and Izetta? Yeah, I thought I saw your hand going up, Izetta. Is there any discussion? Paul, you're chair of this committee. Is there anything you want to say about this before we vote on them?
I didn't get any questions or input, so they
Okay.
stand as written.
Okay, good, good. Any other discussion? All in favor of approving the policies? Motion is carried. Number 7, board appointments and other designations. Motion please to approve the board appointments. Tina and Izetta. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion is carried. Number 8. This item was originally an item that would normally go in consent agenda, but it was pulled to stand alone because our own board member is being presented. And Paul, I assume you will abstain then. Okay. Is there a motion, please, to approve the coaching and athletic department appointment? Tina and Linda.
Okay.
Any discussion? All in favor? Oh, roll call.
Roll call.
Sorry.
Cinda,
Yes.
John, Linda,
Yes.
Tina,
Yes.
Jason is absent. Paul,
Abstain.
Izetta.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is carried.
Thank you. Mr. Pullen, do you have an update for us tonight?
Yes, I'd just like to go through a couple of quick things. And while Tina brings it up on the screen, I just want to say how much I appreciate what our community has provided our students with as far as opportunities and extracurriculars. So watching this week, the students have been off from school, but they've been coming in preparation for the upcoming musical. And it's a 7 through 9 musical, and the name escapes me, but watching our students roll in during a vacation week has been fantastic. So when we talk about doing great things, and Megan highlighted all the academics, it's nice to highlight some of the extracurriculars and athletics. And tonight we're going to do recognize 3 student athletes. We have a lot to be proud of as far as our winter season. And I know Mr. Blankenberg will be doing an update on all athletic participation for the fall and winter seasons in our March 10th board meeting. But Noah Wazinski made his way to Albany today with Coach the Causemaker and Coach Jerry. So Noah's representing Section 5 and North Rose-Wolcott in the 285-pound classification. He's a Section 5 champion this year and was also the super sectional champion last weekend in Brockport. So or 2 weekends ago, rather. We're pretty proud of Noah. He's got a pretty storied career and bounced back from a heck of a leg injury last year that took him out for the season. So we wish him the best of luck, and we're proud of him no matter what he does this weekend. He's had quite an accomplishment. Next is Vivian Bishop. Vivian is part of the combined slalom team with Sodas and North Rose-Wolcott. She won Section 5 championship, and this weekend she's going down and going to compete in the state championship on Sunday at Hollow. Impressive for a young lady who's in 8th grade. So the future is bright for her and her athletic endeavors. And lastly, indoor track. We'd just like to say great job to Jack DeFeo, Section 5 Class A3 600-meter champion last weekend at Houghton. Did some fantastic things. So you can see Coach Mitchell there is beaming with pride as he puts another one out. And then tonight, our girls basketball team and Coach Steve are over in Waterloo facing a very tough Waterloo basketball team. I think they've been undefeated for the last 2 years. And similar to every athletic team we've put out, whether it was wrestling, basketball, swimming, soccer in the fall, and things that are upcoming in the spring. We're pretty proud of our students, thankful to our community to give us the opportunity to put our students into so many things, especially when it comes down to some of the combined team efforts that we've had to, merge with local districts just to keep our students out there competing and allow for, in some cases, other local districts to send student athletes to us to participate. So pretty great season athletic wise for our winter team sports. And as you saw in the portion that Megan highlighted earlier, our spring athletic signups did go out via Parent Square. And in about 2 short weeks, we'll be turning around and starting our spring season. So I think it's fantastic, and just wanted to take a minute to say thank you to the board and the community for your continued support in those areas. That's it really for my portion tonight.
Congratulations to those kids. Absolutely.
Thank you.
Does anyone have good news beyond what Michael has already shared and Megan? Paul?
Yeah, I just heard from Mike that Mark is going to present on the 10th. And so I had some really, in addition to what Mike just said, I had some additional really exciting news about athletics, but I think nothing's going to change between now and the 10th. I think I'd like to let Mark go ahead and present that information to you.
I think
So I'm
that's
going
a
to
great
go right
idea.
on to,
Thank you, Paul.
yeah. North Rose-Wolcott Junior has been selected to participate in Girls State. It's by the Wolcott, North Rose-Wolcott American Legion. Actually, it's the Wolcott American Legion Auxiliary. Clara Madison, and also as an alternate is Ella Helkert.
Mhm. Okay.
And then Megan had talked about the Rotary Club.
Mhm.
So I want to mention that, yes, Rotary Club. Caitlin Western was named the Wolcott Rotary Club Student of the Month and for the month of January. She's Kelton Western is a 7th grade student at Leavenworth. Doing a great job over there. Teachers like them, students like them, so all good.
Good, thank you. Anyone else? We certainly hope the students all had a good week off and that they come back rested and ready to go at it again. Very good. I did not have any board member requests for discussion or comments tonight. Anyone here? Okay. At this time, we're going to be moving into executive session. We will not be coming back to do business. We will come back simply to bring closure to the meeting through adjournment. So at this time, I would like to have a motion to go into executive session for the purpose to discuss the employment history of a specific employee. Tina and Izetta. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. If you're not going to return, those of you in the public, thank you for attending. And if you are, Tina will tell you how to manage that.